Welcome back then. The gold and silver star categories left to go through this fourth stage of the day, Yarrow Moor. The second running of this 7.5 mile blast with some of the most iconic forest miles in the north of England. We're in Northumberland for round 4 of the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship. It's the Kielder Forest Rally, and there is our championship leader. And today, the man in a chasing position, Elliot Payne, Tom Woodburn alongside in that Mango Go Fiesta. Currently 20 seconds down on our rally leader, Matthew Hurst. Trying hard in that Rally 2 Fiesta to get on terms. 20 seconds, can it be done given the pace of Hurst and Deer through this morning's stages? I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be the man in a chasing position, because you've got to put it all on the line. Aaron Newby, Jamie Edwards, just fantastic to have such a close battle going on at the top of our Gold Star leaderboard. Just a second back from Elliot Payne. Then you've got Alistair Ginley. Not a new name in the mix, but certainly in terms of our MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship protagonists out there fighting in the thick of it. Fourth place, just 5 seconds back in that ex-Elliot Payne car, the car that took victory here on the Kielder Forest Rally just a year ago in the hands of Elliot Payne. The man currently in second place, but the man who, with a first, a second, and a first place overall in the championship so far in that order, comes here leading the Gold Star Championship by just 4 points. The man chasing him down is currently in 6th place, 9 seconds behind. And that is Russ Thompson. Stephen Link alongside. It's not, it's Aaron Newby, second place in the championship. Russ Thompson's third. So I saw Matthew Hurst and Declan Deer come broadside into view, and I just lost my train of thought for just a minute there. There is your rally leader. Neat and tidy through here, but certainly on a charge. You could see that from the stance of that Fiesta as it came into view on your shot. Fantastic action here in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship. Lead of the rally then at the moment for Hurst and Deer, making up for, let's say, I won't say a DNF, because they're very much finished as far as Declan's career is concerned. Getting married to Gemma this time last year, but they're certainly making up for lost time, having not been here last year, aren't they? Perhaps showing us the battle that we could have had on this Northumberland gravel in 2022. We're looking out for that Fabia R5 then of Aaron Newby and Jamie Edwards. Second place in the championship by just a point, coming here into the 4th round. Third place on the rally so far, but just a second behind Elliot Payne. We're going to have to get our eyes glued firmly to the leaderboard, to btrdarallyresults.co.uk. We're just over 4 miles into this 7.5 mile Yarrow Moor stage. Once those times start coming through, we need to glue our eyes to them, because it's all going to change. We're going to have lots of battling through these last 3 stages of the day. It's coming cooler. A bit cooler. It's certainly not as sunny and muggy as it was this morning, which will be more pleasant inside the car. Ideal conditions for a big push. Very few excuses left to use. You just got to go flat out now. We're getting to the top part of the championship where no longer can you say, oh, I'm not looking at the championship, I'm just taking each event as it comes. Right now it is about the championship. Aaron Newby, hard on the brakes, pushing that Fabia R5 as far wide as he could through here, using all of the stage and having to just nip on the brakes just to get the car in line. I hope it looks as exciting and as fast-paced for you at home as it does here on the stages, because let me tell you, they are absolutely flying. We've got a championship battle unfolding before our very eyes here in the BTR, the RDA, that really does look set to give us real drama going into the second half of the season. Pete Gunson makes a good point. Matthew Hurst is in an outdated car. He's in an R5. Well, Aaron Newby, Jamie Edwards also in an R5, but certainly in terms of Fiesta, he's in an outdated car compared to those Rally 2 cars. But then, you know, you've got to look at Russ Thompson and Stephen Link in that B13 Evo 9. And you know what? They subvert the commonly held belief that sideways is not fast, because they're always sideways in that blue Evo. And they're also pretty fast at the moment. In fact, 6th overall, 9 seconds back from that position up ahead. Russ Thompson coming here 3rd in the overall Gold Star points, as well as leading B13 as far as the championship points tallies are concerned. Only 2 points in it as well between him and Aaron Newby as far as the championship leaderboard is concerned. We've got a battle on our hands here this afternoon in Northumberland, and we've got a battle on our hands in the remaining rounds as we reach the midway point of the MRF Tyres BTRD8 Rally Championship. If you're just tuning in, welcome to Special Stage. I'm Paul Woodford, delighted to be joined by you wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whether you're here at the rally, in the service area, stage side, whether you're at home doing the decorating, preparing for your degree, whatever it is. A bit of acoustic wallpaper brought to you by Stephen Petch and Michael Wilkinson there in that Hitachi Skoda Fabia Rally 2 Evo. Our 2017 BTRDA Gold Star champions. Back then it was Ford. Right now it's Skoda Power, and they're making their presence felt as far as the leaderboard is concerned. 7th overall coming into this 4th stage of the day, 11 seconds back from that B13 Evo of Russ Thompson and Stephen Link. I'd go as far as to say that Stephen Petch hasn't quite got to grips yet with that Skoda Fabia in quite the same way as he might have done with previous cars. But I tell you what, he's there in the thick of it, hasn't quite had the seat time, and also it's not just about seat time, it's about being used to your competitors around you, and being used to, you know, where you need to push and where their weaker points are, where you can gain time on them. That's different in every championship, and Stephen hasn't committed to a full BTRDA campaign, if I can get my words out. No dust to blame it on either this time. He started the season with a BRC campaign, which meant he did the recce and he couldn't score points in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship at the opening round, the Malcolm Wilson Rally, which probably now looks like a slightly bad decision, but at the time you make those decisions for the right reasons, and no one could quite have guessed how the weather would have been and how things would have gone for that opening round. So let's not look too far into the past. Pete Gunson, roads looking in very good condition, amazing for Kielder. Do you know what, they are in really good condition. I mentioned earlier, but quite a lot of the areas have been regraded, which is no good on road tyres and a road car, on fresh stones. But yeah, no, you can tell they've had a lot of work done. The organisers have been very careful and picked the route according to what was in good condition. I'll tell you what, Russ Thompson and Stephen Link there, you could see they were hooking the inside of the stage. We haven't seen that yet from one of the cars through here, but they were really pushing hard, trying to get that Evo set up so they could get the power down and make the most of this long straight over the crest and into a slight left-hander. And they're back into view on your screens. You can see how much Russ moves that Evo around under him. You can see how used he is to that car. You know, you can put someone like Russ in an R5 car, and of course, he'd go well, but he knows that B13 Evo to the point where he can pretty much get it to do anything. We just need a few more of our seasoned B13 competitors out to do battle with people like Russ and Rob Wilson and Daniel Sigurðsson and the other B13 challengers out there on the entry, couldn't we? In years gone by, it's been one of the most hotly contested classes here in the BTRDA. It's still very, very competitive, but we don't quite have the entry bursting at the seams at the moment, so that is the place to bring your B13 Production Spec Plus Evos and Subarus too. Let's see some more challenges out here in the BTRDA. Please look at the action that you've got to be a part of. Someone asked earlier, oh, by the way, I must say, who was it, Wayne, who said about Tim Pearcey retiring in the last stream? I had faith in what you said, whoever it was that told us that Tim Pearcey had retired, and then we stopped the stream. And sure enough, that Mark 1 Escort with its Swift Group branding and the red stripe down the middle came bursting into view. So you were wrong, he's still running. And Tim Pearcey, you were looking good out there, even if we didn't catch you on the live stream, my friend. Alistair Ginley then, 4th place, 5 seconds back at the moment from Aaron Newby in that ex-Elliot Payne Rally 2 Fiesta. Looks good in that red and white livery, doesn't it? It's very notable on an open section of stage like this, when you've got the cars coming past one by one. You can really see who's pushing more, and you can hear that Alistair, despite being so quick and firing that Fiesta at the leaderboard, you can hear that the car's on the overrun a bit more than the cars ahead of him on the leaderboard. And, you know, it's marginal gains. I was talking to Paul Morris about this, actually, when we were, where were we? It must have been Jim Clark. And we were chatting about him inside that Mark II Escort with Robert Goff, which, by the way, is a stunning performance. You've got Boyd Kershaw in 8th place overall in the Flying Kiwi Mark II. And then you've got Rob Goff with Paul Morris alongside in, well, a historic car inside the top 10 in Kielder. I suppose these Forests were brought up on those Escorts, weren't they? But Paul was telling me, no, it is about those marginal gains. It is about working out how many gear changes have you got. And you've all heard this before. How many gear changes have you got in a rally stage? And how much can you make up time-wise with a fraction of a second here and there? Well, fractions of seconds make whole seconds, and whole seconds make handfuls of time, and that's where your rallies are won and lost, if everybody's pushing really hard. And so when you can hear a car on the overrun a little more than the car before, you can tell that that's where time is being made up. I almost feel like Robbie Head. I think I should maybe go out and start picking bits of rock up off the stage and explaining how smooth the rock is and how bad that is for the tyres or something. It's about as technical as we're getting this afternoon here in Northumbria. Hope you're having a great weekend, whatever you're doing. Jane Fowler says it's so dusty. It is, but that's why the cars are running at 2-minute intervals and you get more of me. Eddie Lewis, Sean Cunniff. What a weekend they have had so far. 7th place overall. Only 5 seconds back from our 2017 BTRDA champ, Stephen Petch. Slight comfort margin back to the Flying Kiwi, Boyd Kershaw and Keegan Rees in 8th place. Trevor Gamble, I mentioned for him as well, going well in 9th place, just inside the top 10. It's always difficult, isn't it? It's only 1 second ahead of Robert Goff, actually, who we just mentioned. Always difficult when you're pushing so hard, and you know, I'd kill for running in 9th place in a BTRDA event, in a Rally 2 Fiesta, but you sort of, if you're in a little battle of your own, doesn't matter how well you're doing. You see it in all motorsport, don't you? You sometimes don't get your share of the airtime because you're just doing a good job, but you're out there on your own because there's not really anything going on around you. So I'll try not to be the commentator, the presenter that doesn't mention those people. Trevor Gamble, Phil Kenny, you'll see from them soon, going really well. And improving on their seeding of 16th as well. So 2 stages left after this one. Muckledod Hill. I love that stage now. I'm just going to keep saying that all the way back. Muckledod Hill. And then Shepherd's Shield. After that, 6.9-ish miles through Muckledod Hill. And another 6.5 miles through Shepherd's Shield. And then back to the finish in Hexham. Just after 4 o'clock, I think you can expect the first cars back. So if you do fancy getting down there to Hexham Auction Mart, enjoy watching the cars go back into the finish. When I was growing up watching rallying, it wasn't all about watching the cars on the stage. It's about the cars and watching the drivers and wanting to be out there doing it and being around them in those moments of the finish is part of that. And look at that, exactly what we were talking about. Sideways into view. Sideways almost in a straight line. Number 10 on the door, number 10 on the leaderboard so far today, comes here 10th in the Gold Star Championship points as well, 5th in the Silver Star, but it won't be 5th for long. Robert Goff, Paul Morris alongside. Came 10th overall on last year's Kielder Forest Rally as well, funnily enough. I asked Paul Morris what was the best car he'd ever co-driven in, because he's co-driven in quite a lot, hasn't he? Metro 6R4. I should have let you guess, actually, shouldn't I? I suppose we probably could have guessed that, couldn't we? I've driven a Metro 6R4 as well, and let me tell you, they are incredible. Absolutely incredible. I don't think you could ever really beat the feeling of being in a car as significant as that. Trying to flick between the live results because we will have some times through for this stage now. And, keeping on top of your comments as well on the live stream. So just flicking to the live results. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Overall leaderboard. BCRDA rallyresults.co.uk is where you need to be. Follow them for yourself, and there is Trevor Gamble. Mentioned him earlier, going so well in 9th place at the moment. Phil Kenny alongside, split by a couple of escorts. We've still only got our times for Stage 3, so we haven't got any updates at the moment. As soon as we do, you'll be the first to know. If you've got your own fingers over the button, then you really will be the first to know. But at the moment, no times for this 4th stage of the day. If you refresh the page, it just says Yarrow Moor 2, no results available, but we do have cars out of the stage now, so any moment now we will be getting those results, and as soon as we do, I'll give you a feel for how the leaderboard looks. But certainly what we saw there, Matthew Hurst and Declan Deere are absolutely flying. Hurst has had 3 podium finishes of 3rd place. Puts him in 4th place in the Gold Star standings. He was runner-up in the Gold Star in 2022. He wants a shot at the title this year, and he's got to get that championship campaign on song, and he's got to get that R5 Fiesta hauled up the leaderboard and onto the top step of the podium. Got to start getting those maximum points on the board if he's going to beat the fastest rally drivers in the UK right now. Elliot Payne, our reigning and youngest ever Gold Star champion here in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship. Matthew Hurst, Declan Deere doing so far what they need to do to keep that Mango Go Fiesta at bay, but we're yet to get the times from this 4th stage of the day. I'm very optimistically refreshing the page. Steve Bannister, a member, a fully fledged member of the Yorkshire Rally Mafia. If you haven't got the Yorkshire Rally Mafia book or associated merchandise from Jonathan Bullen, do look him up on Facebook and get yourself a copy. I think you can pick it up on Amazon, actually. It's a fantastic book. I'm yet to get all the way through it, actually. I bought my dad it, and I keep up with a flick every time I'm there. But yeah, Bannerman and a few others, their stories hide little bits and pieces that you maybe never knew, and it's just a great insight into an era and a generation of drivers who grew up together, competing together, pushing each other along, and inspired so many other people to get involved with the sport. I just remember watching, for some reason, when I think of or see Steve Bannister in action, I just think of Oliver's Mount when I was a kid, watching the white Escort with Ralloy branding as it used to have back in the day, and that red stripe down the middle. Still no results for this fourth stage, Yarrow Moor, which is unusual because I think we should have cars coming to the end of the fifth stage as well, Muddledod Hill, by now, so not quite sure what the story is there. But as soon as we've got something, we'll let you know. The first cars were due at the finish from 3:30 onwards. That will have gone back about, well, it'll be to about now. I think about half an hour is probably a reasonable estimate of the time that we've just lost throughout the day, but fair play to the organisers and the marshals as well, keeping things flowing nicely. Talking of people who've been flowing nicely, Robert Proudlock has been doing just that. Fourth place overall in the Silver Star, coming into this round on an identical overall time to Rob Wright and Mark Fisher, our reigning Silver Star champions. And they're just 17 back from Rob Goff as well. That R2 Opel Adam just looks really at home here in the BTRDA, doesn't it? And the R2 Rally Cup starting to come alive as well. Good to have different cars fighting in that R2 Rally Cup, not just the Fiestas. Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. But at the moment, it's been a bit of a rough day for the rest of the competitors, of course. We saw Alfie Hammond out in dramatic fashion with Phil Boyle. Pleased to say they're both all right barrel rolling that R2 Fiesta on the first stage of the day. So at the moment, Rob Proudlock and Stephen Brown have got it all their own way in the R2 Rally Cup. And looking at the championship point situation, that's going to be a very useful finish for them if they can get indeed to the finish after a DNF last time out in the Border Counties Rally. And two first-in-class to start the season, 14th and 16th overall respectively at the Malcolm Wilson and the Rally Nuts. That leaves them 9th in Silver Star and 3rd in the R2 Rally Cup, coming here to the 4th round in Northumberland. John Bannister then, Steve Bannister's son. Unmistakable family red stripe down the middle of the Impreza. Love the popping and banging of an anti-lag system on an Impreza or an Evo. Or indeed an Escort Cosworth. See, we haven't got an Escort Cosworth here. Ian Joel's not entered in this weekend's rally for some reason, so I still managed to get talking about Escort Cosworths. You can take the Escort Cosworths out of the rally, but you're not going to get them out of our coverage. A good point, actually. Callum Black should really have been here. I did say, where are you? Why are you not in Kielder? He's at Bicester Heritage. There's some kind of open day for Motorsport UK that Callum is representing at with his black Rally 2 Fiesta. After going great guns in the Pro Tyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship, I think that's really where his focus is this year. We'll probably see him out on a few more rounds of this and possibly even the BRC, but the Asphalt Championship seems to be where his heart lies right now, and that's certainly where the pace is for Callum. These 2-minute intervals seem to get longer and longer, don't they? 2 minutes because of the dust. It's easy to think when you see the breeze here on this long open section that the dust isn't really that much of an issue, but between the trees and the more twisty sections, the slower sections of the stages, it is hanging and it is causing a bit of a problem. You heard about Constantine, for example, in the MG3 being held up in stage, and a few others have. Besides, here's our reigning Silver Star champion then, Rob Wright, Mark Fisher alongside. visibly a little bit more cautious through there compared to the first stage when they were absolutely flat chat. And that car was bouncing from one side of the stage to the other, but it was neat and tidy. And neat and tidy is often quicker inside the car and on paper than it looks on the outside, isn't it? All right, should we have a look, see if we've got we've got the first of the times through from stage 4, but at the moment only Douglas Menzies has got a time through, so clearly some issues with the uplink at the end of the stage, so we're not getting those times through at the moment. Hopefully in the very near future we will. Melanie Capel is enjoying the coverage, waiting for Colin and Bonnie to come through. That's Colin Minton and Bonnie Papper, waving from the Isle of Man, one of my favourite places in the world. Was delighted to get back for the Manx Rally this year, thanks to the Pro Tyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship for that opportunity. It was good fun. We had a great weekend. Paul Hudson. Right, okay, so he's just given us an update on the times. David James, who is doing the timings, has just updated us. Thank you, Paul. The stage 4 finish clock, which is a repeat of stage 1, is not talking. It's not doing what it's meant to be doing. There's going to be a bit of a delay before stage 4 times are available. We have to get them by telephone. Do you remember when we used to do that? Yeah, very old-fashioned. From the passage control after stage 5, and the passage control only has one person there because, of course, they weren't expecting to have this issue, and because they need more marshals to swell the ranks. So if you do want to get involved, there's a perfect reason. When things go wrong, you need a few more bodies to move around and dispense in different locations to help with various functions on the rally, and that's one of them. Daniel Sigurðsson coming into this, he was 6th in B13. At least we know why we're struggling for stage times anyway. We're actually getting a few stage times through after stage 5, interestingly, so it won't be long surely before stage 4 starts to update. But these are being manually inputted. It's amazing, isn't it? We get so used. It wasn't long ago that I was remarking on how quick and how efficient it was that all of a sudden we were getting times as soon as the cars came through the stage. It was there on the online system with very few mistakes. As soon as you have a slight blip in the matrix and things don't go quite to plan, you realise how lucky we are to have such fast results that update so readily as we're going through the day, despite having ridiculously bad signal in a lot of the locations that this championship, or many of the championships, visit. So, yeah, a very rare issue for the results service, but thank you and well done to David James for getting things sorted as quickly as possible. We'll have those results for you as soon as we can. I won't read any more leaderboards out. There's no more point me talking about what's happened going into stage 4, is there? Because we've come out of stage 5 now for some of our competitors. Some of the competitors are now going to be heading towards the finish at Hexham Auction Mart, so enjoy the atmosphere if you're down there. I'll tell you what, it's coming very dull here over Yarrow Moor. It's not the glorious, sunny, hazy, dusty day that we had earlier, that is for sure, but there's a man who won't really care what it's doing above him. He's more interested in what's happening in front and below him. That is Boyd Kershaw, the Flying Kiwi. And today he has very definitely been living up to that name. Leading Silver Star, coming into stage 4 by 37 seconds. Robert Goff, Paul Morris, you saw from them. 10th overall. Boyd Kershaw, 8th overall coming into this stage. Keegan Rees alongside. Boyd loving being back in the series. He's had a few years out, and he's come back for a full assault on the Silver Star title again this season. A previous Silver Star champion, no less, here in the BTRDA. He and Keegan back out with a new livery and a renewed, what should we say, fire to get out and get the job done. They're certainly doing that today. 37 seconds in the lead of the Silver Star category coming into this 4th stage of the day. Don't forget to If you haven't already, check out our Seacon UK Rally Show. The 4th show since we started that series. It comes out every first Friday of the month. It goes on channel Sporty Stuff. I forget the number of the channel, apologies. Look for it on Freeview and on Sky. You can also watch it on the Special Stage Facebook and YouTube channels. It's the Seacon UK Rally Show. Thank you to Tony Simpson, regular competitor here in the R2 Rally Cup in the BTRDA, of course, with his 1 litre turbo M Sport R2 Fiesta. Not here this weekend, but a regular competitor in the championship and throwing his hat in the ring, just as Stephen Petch has done with his SGP sponsorship of the Kielder Forest Rally, as well as numerous others. We need our sponsors, we need our competitors, we need all of you watching at home to make it worth their while, and you're doing your bit as well, as you see John Crawford and Hannah McKillop through in their 2 litre Mark II Escort. We've gone to 2-minute gaps, but those intervals seem to have increased between some of our competitors. Let us know what you're doing today, where you're watching from. Tell us what brought you here. Did you see it because you follow us? Did you see it because someone shared it? Did someone tell you it was on? Always interested to know where our audience is and where we're growing it, because growing it we are. Thousands and thousands of viewers on every one of these live streams, and every time we do that, every time you share it, every time you get involved and engage with this, your friends see it, their friends see it, and we get to spread the word about this incredible sport that we get to call our own. If you're just tuning in, welcome to Special Stage. Welcome to Northumberland, to the Killer Kielder Forest Complex for the 4th round of the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship. It is the Kielder Forest Rally, and as I mentioned earlier on, if you were tuned in at the beginning of this 4th stage of the day, the second running of the Yarrow Moor stage, we had a few spots of rain in the first live stream here. Now we've got quite a bit more rain. It's coming in quite heavy, and I will just manage your expectations a little bit. We didn't expect any rain, nor did anybody else here today. It was bright sunshine, it was muggy, it was unpleasantly hot and sticky earlier on. And the black skies are rolling in, or I should say the black clouds. Skies don't really roll in, do they? There's only one of them. And we've got quite heavy rain now. We don't have any rain covers on our equipment. We may have to resort to umbrellas in the short term. Paul Thompson, Josh Davison. It won't be enough rain as of yet to make any real difference. We'll crack out the emergency contingency, which is Mason holding an umbrella over producer Wayne, just to keep things a bit drier while we've got this little flurry of rain. I don't have quite enough hands to hold an umbrella. There we go. Gary Williams is watching from Pembrokeshire. Colin Keenan from Stonehaven. Philip Roberts watching from North Wales. And Eileen Forrest competed on this event last year. Had to miss it this year, but big fan of the Kielder Forest Rally. Jeff Ledger making a good observation that the top running 2-wheel drive cars, the Mark IIs, are on a par, visually at least, with the leading cars at the first bend as the cars come into view. And it's correct, they are, and that's why we've got Mark IIs. Boyd Kershaw up in 8th place in the leaderboard, Robert Goff up in 10th at the moment. Because they really are on a par. You've got some of the best rally drivers in the UK right here in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship, and you've seen the very best of them, because the events that we've had, look at how different they've been. Okay, the Markham Wilson wasn't designed to be as different as it ended up being as an opening round, but they're all very different in characteristic, different conditions, different types of stages, different types of technical layouts and surfaces, and the weather has been very different. We've had it all. We've had snow at the Malcolm Wilson, we've had biblical thunderstorms at the Border Counties, we've had changeable conditions that have gone from one extreme to the other. The Border Counties again went from bright sunshine to monsoon conditions with thunder and lightning, and we've now got bright sunshine and muggy conditions here in Northumberland, going to black sky and the beginnings of a rain shower. Heavy and persistent rain might just cause some concern if you're there on dry tyres, but at the moment you can see from the stage, the dust on the stage, just how dry. There hasn't been any rain in these forests for weeks, so it will take a lot for anything to change out there. As you see David Pedley, Grace Pedley alongside over here from Clitheroe in their RS 1800 in that Eton Yale colour scheme. Cracking looking car. You never see a bad looking or badly prepared rally car these days, do you? And you have to give some credit to the governing body for that, Motorsport UK. And I know that there's a lot of talk of how expensive everything gets, and safety gear having to be more in date and more high spec than it's ever been. But actually, when you look at the preparation, you look at accidents like Alfie Hammond's barrel roll earlier on in the first stage of the day, and you see people like Lewis Hooper, even in a rally first spec car, walking away from a 60 mile an hour to zero thump into a ditch, unscathed, a little bit winded. You realise why that drive for safety, that passion for making things more safe exists. And when you've worked behind the scenes in motorsport on the more technical sides of the sport, like I have, you do get to see the reasons why. You see the more grisly parts of our sport, and you realise why it's so important. Ralph Stork is watching from Guiseley in Leeds. Great coverage as always. Keep up the good work. We will. Kenny Owen says it looks dry and warm. No, it's not. Not anymore. It's got a bit cold, and it's currently raining. You thought presenter curse just applied to the plights of our competitors. It doesn't. It very much applies to the weather as well. Jonathan Lightbody and Mark Swallow there, 5th in B13 coming into this round in that great looking Subaru with its gallant livery. Looks fast, doesn't he, through here? Just letting that car sweep its way through. Seems very comfortable inside that car these days. Warren Martin wins. He's watching from Dexter in Michigan. He remembers reading rally reports from Kielder in Autosport back in the 80s. Isn't that the thing? I was thinking the other day, when I knew we were coming to Killer Kid, I was doing some research and I was just watching some old rally videos, as I do. There's one, when I used to watch, and I got home from school, Top Gear Rally Report, and I watch old rally videos. As a kid, there was one name of a forest that, for me, it's just sent chills. I don't know what it was about the name. Pundershaw. Just hearing people like Tony Mason and Steve Ryder saying Pundershaw on the Top Gear Rally Report when I got home from school, that just used to say rallying to me. So thinking of Killer Kielder, that's what I think of. So like me, Warren Martin thinks of these iconic rally stage names and these forests and thinks of days gone by. Good to have Norman Robertson watching with us. Welcome, Norman. A man whose impact on this championship and on this sport has been vast over the years. And continues to be as well. Colin Minton, Bonnie Papa then. Plenty of support over in the Isle of Man for this pair. A man who just 1 season ago drove his Fiesta R5 for the first time by driving against the scrutineering the day before the event. Brian Hull, BTRDA's very own, was alongside him in those days. And I remember Brian saying that it was remarkable how quickly Colin got to grips with the car. And it is, he's getting faster and faster, and Bonnie finding her feet inside the R5 car as well, over from the Isle of Man to co-drive in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship this season. One of only 3 competitors with a clean sheet in the MRF Tyres trophy as well. Hello to Florence Butler joining us, Louis Alberto Perez as well. I'm not quite sure I can understand Spanish, but I think you're in Tenerife. Is that right? I love that it still looks warm and dry on the coverage. It actually does. It still looks very dusty and hazy, doesn't it, on the coverage? I'm just watching it on my phone as I'm looking at your comments coming through. But yeah, it's very different here. It's gone from bright sunshine to being, well, quite moody and dramatic. Are we going to get yet more intrigue like we did at the Border Counties Rally? Are we going to get some heavy rain to end the day? Are we going to have cars going from dry to wet weather, but stuck on dry tyres, sat there in the start of the stage queue? There's nothing worse than the conditions changing. And you sat there and you just, as a driver, you glance at your co-driver and you're both thinking the same thing. So, oh God, here we go. Especially if you're pushing hard at the front. I can't imagine what it must be like to be pushing on at the... Luckily, the timings worked out in the Border Counties, and we kind of knew it was going to be a day of two halves. I didn't quite know how extreme each half was going to be. But the rain is still trying here. I've got a wet eyebrow. That's about as far as it's got so far, but there must be nothing worse than knowing you've got to push and give it everything you've got and then realise that the conditions have changed. The heavens has opened, your competitor's gone through in dry weather, and you're going to have very different conditions as you start that stage. Daniel Thompson, Matthew Thompson there. It's got a Bill Faulkner Clubman spec engine inside that Opel Corsa. It does sound strong. It's a great sounding engine. Just seems to rev and rev. So as usual here on Special Stage in this live coverage of the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship, we've got a very international audience. Great to hear where you're all watching from. If you need a rally fix for the rest of the day, there's plenty of coverage on our Special Stage Facebook and YouTube page. And in the coming days, we'll have a behind the scenes feature, just with a bit of a look at what goes on in preparation for a BTRDA event. And a look at what goes on during the event as well behind the scenes as we bring you this live coverage. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of hard work leading up to the event, a lot of research, a lot of getting the equipment ready, a lot of testing things, checking locations, recceing, checking signal strength, checking satellite positions, liaising with the rally organisers, and there's a lot of fun and passion. Once the stage goes live and the coverage is on air, we're going to bring you a flavour of that in a behind-the-scenes making of Special Stage documentary to give it a really grand build-up. So look out for that in the coming days. We've enjoyed filming that this weekend, and anyone who knows us and knows producer Wayne will know how significant this is. Producer Wayne makes his Special Stage debut in this behind-the-scenes feature. Oh yes, yeah, we got him on camera. Didn't take too much convincing either. He's mellowing and he's wandering aimlessly towards the limelight as we go into our 15th year of doing this. He's not playing though. He's pretending he can't hear me, because if he reacts, if he so much as looks up and raises an eyebrow, he knows that there is, especially with too many gaps between the cars, just the slightest chance I might walk over with the microphone. And he's much happier pretending that he's busy and he's buried in his phone trying to sort something technical with one of the various feeds or camera links that we've got. But do look out for that. I know over the years, many of you who've come to get to know us on the stages in the service areas and have come to call us friends, and you'll get to see a little bit of a different side to what we do. It's fun. Jeff Ledger says, some of us were competing through Kielder with all the manufacturers' works teams. He remembers servicing at the bottom of Plashet's, now at the bottom of Kielder Water. Come on, Jeff. Give us more of those memories. Tell us more of what that was like. Colin McRae, Ari Vatanen, Mark Higgins, Gwyndaf Evans, Guy Wilkes. They've all got their name on the winners list on this rally, going back in its various incarnations over the years, from its British Rally Championship days, from its World Rally Championship days, from the heady days of the Shell Oils Cumbrian Rally and the Andrews Heat for Hire, as it used to be, Cumbrian Rally. we're following in the wheel tracks as legends, as I've mentioned a few times today. And I'd love to hear some more of those stories, Jeff, so keep them coming. Neil Andrew and Dom Adams. I still haven't got any live times. I was hoping to see where they were standing at the moment. They've certainly been going well today. Fab pair here in the BTRDA. They really do go well and push hard. And this is a car with a real story to tell. We talked about this before the event. It's an absolutely beautiful car, and that is a very significant Datsun 160J Violet. Ilkka Carmenlato, Richard Wise. It's a famous car. It left Finland on Monday evening. It's here in the UK specifically to do this Kielder Forest Rally. It's based in the Rally Museum. I need to go there. Sounds brilliant. The historic car once used by 1985 world champion Timo Salonen, none less, is now being driven by Ilkka. He's got Richard Wise alongside for the first time. And they're planning to retrace some of the stages in Europe where that car was originally used as a works car. In 1980, talking about the history of this event, Salonen used that very Datsun Violet here in Kielder on the Lombard RAC. What a story. Ilkka's competed on the 1,000 Lakes Rally. In fact, his very first rally ever was in a Peugeot 205 GTI on the 1996 1,000 Lakes Rally. He's competed more recently in San Remo and Costa Smeralda and on the Rally Legends Rally as well. Richard's been co-driving since being at school, and among other results, he has contested the Lombard and then the Network Q as it became RAC Rally 12 times. What a story and what a car to have joining us here on the Kielder Forest Rally as the Evo 2 Mitsubishi of Tommy Graham and Mark Pickering fires flames out of the back of that big fat exhaust from the anti-lag system. I do like getting lost in rally car history. Right, so we're starting to get some times through now for stage 4. We still haven't got any of the Gold Star times. Nigel and Kaz Jenkins still leading the way in the Bronze Star. Although at the moment, to be fair, the results don't look very complete, so I'm not gonna make any claims or get too excited just yet. Lewis Hooper still looks like he's on a charge, but again, until we've got the results, I'll just hang fire on that. If you're tuned in and just wondering why we've got so many gaps, we've gone to 2-minute intervals because the dust is hanging in places and it's very difficult for the organisers. And so they just put it to 2-minute intervals. They had that option up their sleeves. It just makes things a little easier on the stages. And to be fair to them, it hasn't affected the rally times too greatly. But here we go. Another car coming into view, but that's why it looks like we've got bigger gaps than usual. We have 2-minute intervals. It means you've got a fair bit more of me to contend with. There's David Thompson and Matthew Thompson in there. Very, very loud. Vauxhall Corsa. I think somebody has a broken exhaust. It doesn't seem to be slowing them down, but you can see the dust, although there's a bit of a breeze here in this 4th Yarrow Moor stage of the day. The dust is hanging, and in the tighter sections, particularly between the trees, where there isn't as much wind, it really is quite dusty. So it's a shame we haven't yet got the live results through for our Gold Star and Silver Star competitors, because it would be great to bring you a bit more information about what was happening out there on the leaderboard. certainly it was close coming into this. You're going to have to keep your eyes glued to BTRDA rally results once this live stream from the 4th stage is over, because there's 2 more to go, and our crews are then making their way back to Hexham Auction Mart in the beautiful and historic town of Hexham. Lovely place to start a rally. Because of the late start to the day and the times we have to be setting up for the TV, normally we do get to experience, and it's one of my thrills, experience seeing the cars driving through the town. We didn't get that today. There was no one around when we were in the service park earlier this morning before heading out to the first stage, which, given it was an 11:13 stage time to start the day, it's remarkably late and meant that we didn't really get much of the atmosphere. But if you've been sampling the atmosphere out there on the road sections, or you're going to be down there at the finish at Hexham Auction Mart, it would be great to see your pictures. So do tag Special Stage in your pictures if you've been out enjoying yourself this weekend, and be sure to tag the BTRDA in them as well, so we can see the rally through your eyes. Here's a car that raises an eyebrow or two, being driven as well as it goes, but it sounds like, a bit like the Corsa before, it is taking a bit of a dong underneath and maybe taking a bit of exhaust damage. Steve Magson with Steve Bealby alongside in that 2.3 engined Merc 190E. But that's a hell of a car to be hustling around these stages. Bit of a wafter, I would have thought. Not the car you first think of when you think about a rally car, but that's almost what makes it great, isn't it? The next up of our MRF Tyres BTRDA registered crews will be Steve Corky Ward and Phil Sandham in that white and blue Mark II Escort. To remind you, we've lost Alfie Hammond and Phil Boyle after their crash, quite a dramatic crash. If you watch back the coverage from the first stage of the day, you'll see that all unfold. Both crew members okay. We've lost them from the results. Still looking out for Lucy Wigley and Emma Cooper. Liam Clark Benoit are out as well, aren't they, in the R2 Cup. So Ernie Lee, Patricia Lee, Will Armitage and Jeremy Pole, and Martin Beach, Noel Murphy, our remaining BTRDA points registered crews as we go through the last part of this stage. William Mellard and Kieran Bourne spitting flames out of the back of that ProDrive liveried Subaru. Does look good. If I had a Subaru rally car, it would have to be in that livery. Just something about it, isn't there? This big boot spoiler as well. It does have a really throaty engine note to it, just like a Group A car. It's fabulous to see Alistair McRae hustling that Group A car around. Which rally was that, Wayne? Recently. It's one of the Rally Legends events, wasn't it?
Mythical Cars.
The Mythical Cars rally, yeah. That just looked absolutely fabulous, seeing him hustling that proper Group A in Impreza around the stages. Shame the other McRae brother isn't still here to do that, because, wow, that would send shivers, wouldn't it? One of my big regrets, not a regret as such, there's nothing I could do about it, but one of the people who I would have loved to have interviewed and been able to tell the story of on at least an event or two is Colin McRae. We came into this just a little bit too late, just too late. But I'm lucky enough to say I got to see him in action. I'm sure many of you did as well. And that's pretty special in itself, isn't it? If you're just tuning in, don't worry, you have missed most of the live action today live, but you can watch it back. That's the good news on the special stage page after it ends. So do catch up with the action afterwards. As you see, I think this is Steve Corky Ward, isn't it? It is. With Phil Sandham alongside. Just looking at the weather forecast for where we are just outside Hexham, and I don't want to alarm you, Producer Wayne.
Looks like we've got some rain on the way.
Stopping in 20 minutes just as the live stream comes to an end. We're okay at the moment, but the clouds are pretty dramatic and the weather forecast is reporting rain, so we'll see what happens. A fairly desperate look from the gold ring as he looks up to the sky. He's got that weather forecast to face on. Pushing hard today, isn't he, Steve? I'm just disappointed I can't read out the results for you. Let's have a look. There's still... No, we're still... Ernie Graham is still the last of the results through. If anybody has caught up with any of the crews in service and you're aware of the results, or have got any rally organisers with results to hand that can drop them through to us, it would be good to update everybody at home on what's happened through this last stage or two, because I think our leading crews will be getting into the final stage of the day now through Shepherd's Shield. Their final 6.5 miles of this Kielder Forest Rally, round 4 of the MRF Tyres BTRD8 Rally Championship. So a few notable retirements from today, people who really needed points on their championship boards. Rob Wilson, Richard Crozier in the Ravenel Mitsubishi Evo 7 had a problem with the brake lines. Baz Jordan, Arwell Jenkins, sponsors of course of the Jordan Road Surfacing Historic Cup in their Mark II Escort, stopped on stage 3, just after our cameras, no doubt. Andy Davis and Tom Murphy had a mechanical issue before the second stage of the day. We did see them through the first stage, didn't we? And that's Sunbeam VXR. Michael Glendinning, Charlie Sayer Payne, Alfie Hammond, Phil Boyle. We know about Liam Clark, Ben Wild stopped in stage 3. Tim Piercy and Liam Whiteley do appear on the retirements list, to be fair. Off in stage 2, so they were super rallying, and you saw the damage to that near side front bubble arch on the Mark I Escort coming past us just now. As you see, Andrew and Joe Hutchinson in the Clio 172 Cup on the limiter. Bastards here. It's one of those things, you get towards the end of a straight, you're on the limiter. Do you go for a change up and unsettle the car, or do you just get ready to set the car up? And discretion the better part of valour there for the Clio pair. Staying on the limiter for those few hundred yards. Let's have a look. Times for stage 6 through now, so I live in hope that stage 5 has yielded some times it hasn't on the results. No surprises in the Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star at the moment, but that's about all I can give you details of results-wise as we go through to the closing stages of the rally. Nigel Jenkins and Kaz Jenkins look like putting maximum points on the board, strengthening their charge in the Fuchs Lubricants Bronze Star category, going into the fifth round of the series. To Nicky Griss next time up before the summer break. Daisy, Lucy Wigley and Emma Cooper in the C2 R2 Max, our only B10 competitors running, so aiming for a decent finish at this point. And they'll have maximum points if they do get it to the finish. 14th in the Gold Star in that C2. I'm surprised we don't have more C2 R2s out in the BTRDA. It's another car that I talk about quite a bit. I'm a big fan of the C2 R2s, but Where did they all go? There were quite a few on the Isle of Man, I hasten to add. I say quite a few, there were 2 or 3. David Hutchinson's watching from Eggleston. Good to have you with us. Still waiting for some of your stories from... You used to compete in Kielder back with some of the manufacturers' works teams. Jeff Ledger, so if you want to give us a few of those, we'd be only too happy to give you a platform to tell us some of your memories of these iconic rally stages. So next up on the entry list would have been Liam Clark and Ben Wild, who came here first in the Rally R2 Cup. It was a perfect chance for Alfie Hammond and Phil Boyle to make up some ground, wasn't it? But it wasn't to be. So it will be Robert Proudlock having it all his own way in that Opel Adam R2 in the R2 Rally Cup this weekend. What a car this is. Ford Sierra Sapphire Cosworth just rekindles some of the memories of those names that we've mentioned so many times today, given where we are in the world and given where in Kielder we're stood, bringing you this live rally coverage. A Shell sponsored, or Shell liveried I should say, Ford Sierra Sapphire Cosworth. That invokes a fair few memories for you all, I'm sure. Look at it with those twin headlamps and the blocked off lights on the inside. Slider open, getting a bit of air inside that 90s Ford, 80s Ford. It'd be just 90s, wouldn't it? The Sapphire. God, that reminds me of being a kid. You sometimes just need 1 or 2 little trigger points, don't you, to remember those memories and the reasons you got into this and the best days with your rose tints on, looking back. The days of the Sapphire Cosworths out on the stages, certainly the best days for many, weren't they? We're having a few more of those here in the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship at the moment, aren't we? A few more cars left. We are determined to bring you every single car on the entry. The rain is just about staying off. It's trying, I think, again. But I think we dodged a rainstorm is probably more fitting than dodged a bullet there, because it did try, and we didn't have any of our wet weather gear out for the kit, as you can probably imagine. Didn't look like it was going to start raining today, did it? Meant to have thunderstorms across the UK tomorrow, though, so do take care if you're out and about. It's meant to be driving to a classic car show for Father's Day in a Clan Crusader. I'll be honest with you, I'd rather be in a boat, I think, if it rains in that, so change of plan required. Anyway, back to the action. Here is a pair who come here 6th in a historic cup, needing some points to get their championship campaign, really building some momentum, and they'll be doing that today if they continue as they have so far. Ernie Lee, Patricia Lee alongside, and I'll just double check. We won't have to remind you results from the end of this stage because we're struggling a little bit with the results service, but still nothing from... Oh, here we go. Stage 5. Right. Muckledod Hill times are coming through. Matthew Hurst and Declan Deer, you may remember, were 20 seconds ahead of Elliot Payne and Tom Woodburn, who had Aaron Newby just a second behind them. Well, the deficit has changed by a second, but it's Aaron Newby and Jamie Edwards who have gained time on our rally leaders. They're now second place after stage 5. And just 4 seconds behind them, the fight very much still on going into the final stage, the final 6.5 miles of this Kielder Forest rally. In third place, our reigning champions, Elliot Payne, Tom Woodburn in the Mango Go Fiesta Rally 2. 21 seconds, dropping back a bit behind them, Alistair Ginley and Craig Thorley. It'll be a fantastic performance from them if they can keep that up. And then Russ Thompson and Steve Link, 6 seconds behind in 5th place in that B13 Evo. I'm just having a look at last year's. That'll be an improvement of at least 1 position. Not at least, precisely 1 position on the overall leaderboard for Russ Thompson, just clawing them back year on year. As you see, Will Armitage and Jeremy Pole in the Peugeot 306 S16 through this 4th stage of the day. Russ Thompson then 5th place at the moment. And 11 seconds back from him, Stephen Petch, Michael Wilkinson. You can bet your last dollar they will be on a big fight as well through that last stage of the day. Shepherd's Shield. No sign of Boyd Kershaw. Further back, wasn't he, on the entry, mind you? No Boyd Kershaw. You'll remember he was in 8th place overall. At the moment, Robert Goff is the first of our 2-wheel drive cars. Paul Morris alongside in that historic Spec Mark II Escort, flying past us. They're in 9th place, improving on their 10th place overall that they achieved on last year's Kielder Forest Rally. So where is that flying Kiwi Escort of Boyd Kershaw and Keegan Rees is the question. And if I flick to the retirements list, I hope I'm not going to see their name added to the list of retirements. I haven't, so hopefully still running, maybe just a bit further back for some reason. But at the moment, Boyd Kershaw, Keegan Rees not showing a result from stage. Right, okay, stage 6 is now coming in. So the results service is back online. Well done to David James. We can now continue to give you up-to-date information. So stage 6 is complete. That is the rally done. The unofficial positions as our rally leaders head back on the final road section. Nice compact route. This, it won't take them long to get back to Hexham Auction Mart. As you see, Roger Mark Fowler and Mick Johnson through in their unusually coloured Mark II. Matthew Hurst and Declan Deere look like they've done it. 14 seconds the lead at the end of the day. Aaron Newby, Jamie Edwards, both those crews needing points on the board to get on terms with our championship leaders, Elliot Payne and Tom Woodburn, who've just about hung in there, 9 seconds back. Perhaps looking at that, either having a slight problem or deciding that a big push at this stage, given their position in the championship and given what they had to lose, not gain at this stage in the rally, 3rd place was a decent points-paying position. Matthew Hurst, Aaron Newby, Elliot Payne then in that order. 23 seconds splitting your top 3. Then Alistair Ginley, Stephen Petch and Russ Thompson in 6th place. Russ will be disappointed not to, and just to miss out by 5 seconds as well, not to have beaten his overall 6th place finish from last year, but it's still a remarkable performance in a B13 car. Stephen Petch, Michael Wilkinson, I told you they'd be in a big charge through that final stage, and managing rallies is something they're able to do. They've done that before. It's how they took the title in 2017, of course, in that Hitachi Fabia Rally 2 Evo this weekend. They've done the business and they're in 5th place. Some good points for Stephen Petch and Michael Wilkinson. Eddie Lewis, Ernie Graham, I was going to say Ernie Graham and Nigel Jenkins completing the top 10. It's not. The results haven't quite come through for the rest of the crews behind them. So Eddie Lewis currently 7th place, and that's the last of the Gold Star and Silver Star crews we have for stage 6. So the big news is that Matthew Hurst and Declan Deere have won the Kielder Forest Rally. Aaron Newby, Jamie Edwards, a well-deserved and for them significant 2nd place. And Elliot Payne and Tom Woodburn will hang on to their lead of the Gold Star Championship points leaderboard going into round 5, the Nicky Grist stages, in around a month's time. It's about all we've got time for here on Special Stage today. We hope you've enjoyed joining us for this live coverage. I'm delighted we were able to get those results back online as we got through this final part of the rally, and we're able to bring you that story so you know what the score is when you go home. It's always nice to know. what the final result is, isn't it? As our final BTRDA points registered competitor comes through this fourth stage of the day. Still 13 miles left of this rally, 2 stages left. Muckle Dodd Hill and Shepherd's Shield for Martin Beach and Noel Murphy. So thank you for joining us wherever you've joined us from today on this live coverage. This is the MRF Tyres BTRDA Rally Championship. This has been the 4th round, the Kielder Forest Rally, and it has delivered yet again. Thank you to all the organisers who made this such a successful event for the 2nd year in a row. Thank you for joining us. And of course, we'll be back live for the next round, the Nicky Grist stages in July. We hope to see you there. If you can't make it to the event, we'll bring you the whole story of the event and all of the live action that we possibly can, stage side here on Special Stage. We'll see you soon.